Welcome to the Ryan and Nate's Business Podcast. Come listen to these two blue-collar business guys. Nate, your go-to automotive repairer, and Ryan, your local heating and air contractor, talk about business, how to help you, and hear stories from our local unsung heroes. Community matters to them, and so does a healthy business. Here's Ryan and Nate.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Ryan and Nate Business Podcast. Today we have Michael Berardi with us. He's the general manager and co-founder of OCA Mocha, which is a local coffee shop here in our hometown of Arbutus. It's a coffee shop, and it's got a super unique business model to the way it works. And I'm loving the fact that we get to have Michael on with us today, so we can talk about the start of the coffee shop, how it got going, what the rest of the story is since it got going a few years ago, and what makes it different. Because what I loved about you, Michael, when I met you, is I can tell that you're very passionate about the community, and I feel like that's your main goal is the community, and you just happen to use coffee, live music, and smiles around the coffee shop to make it happen. So thanks for being with us today, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you so much for having me. I love to see what you guys are doing here. Making these connections is how things are going to get better. So
yeah. Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about your story to start with. I have a small window of your story, but my knowledge has started in UMBC.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was back in 2017. I was in the entrepreneurship program at UMBC. They have a minor there. And there was a class of 16 of us that took creative problem solving and the sociopreneur. And essentially, they had asked us, how can we improve the relationship between UMBC and the surrounding communities? How can we really start to connect and make a real difference in the area around UMBC? Because it can't just be all about us, right? And so it came out of that class. We talked to a ton of students. We talked to people on campus. We talked to community members. We were going to as many meetings and events as we could just to connect with people and learn more about what's already going on, what opportunities are there, what do people want to see, what do people feel like might be lacking, and where do we go from there? And so we ended up looking at other schools and looking at, we see they have an Office of Community Affairs. They have people intentionally doing this work. We see schools with thriving main streets where students are just naturally wanting to go down there because there's so much to offer. And so we were looking at our area and saying, what improvements can be made, and also what strengths are already in the community as well. One big thing that we saw was that a lot of people wanted more space, just workspace generally. And so that's where the idea for the back of the shop kind of came from, which we'll get into a little bit later. So yeah, essentially we were just talking to people, trying to figure out what was going on in the community and how can we help? What can we provide that people don't have already? Space was a big thing. More of an outlet for artistic expression as well. We saw that there wasn't much going on in terms of artistic expression in Arbutus specifically. And so we saw an opportunity there. Coffee shops historically have been a beautiful place for people to gather, for people to just engage in dialogue, talk about what's going on, have impromptu meetings and date nights, and, all of these different things can happen in a coffee shop. And so we thought that was the perfect venue to help us start to bring people in and talk about the work that we're doing.
You have art on the walls, and
we have
from the local schools.
About 120 feet of gallery space, and we've done partnerships with local schools, with the Arbutus Arts Festival, with local artists, art organizations in Baltimore City, Baltimore County Arts Guild. We've worked with all different types of organizations and people in the area. And then, we have a stage. We do open mic nights, poetry slams, solo performances.
Open mic as in comedy?
Open mic, we do.
Or you can do whatever you want.
We've done both before, so, but mostly whatever you want. We got music, poetry, all of that, so.
poetry slam. I've never been to a poetry slam.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun, actually. They're really cool. Yeah.
In my mind, there's the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't.
All right. I am constantly bringing up movie references that no one knows about. My
I'm
goodness.
constantly not knowing movie references.
Okay. All right.
So.
Well, there's like the spoken word poetry just read in a coffee shop. So that's in my mind. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, they're really cool. Before COVID, actually, our poetry events were our most popular events. They were packing the place out. We haven't done a poetry specific event in a long time, but yeah, they are very popular, and there's a lot of cool work going on in the city around them as well.
Okay.
Yeah, really good outlet for people.
Yeah. You mentioned. I wanted to go back. You said socialpreneur. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so socialpreneur is an entrepreneur who is focused on a social issue, who is focused on impact, who is focused on more of a social responsibility as opposed to strictly looking for profit, strictly looking to grow. Those things can happen alongside of trying to accomplish a mission and help people along the way. So it's a really cool blend of strictly business, but also doing really good work as well.
And you were a business major at UMBC?
So I studied media and communications at UMBC, and I minored in entrepreneurship and innovation. Okay. Yeah.
And did you know that you, back in college, that you wanted to go like this other, I wouldn't say a spin, but like the traditional reason someone goes to college for business is might not have social issues at the top of their mind?
I mean, I always knew that I wanted to do something that had a positive impact on the world. I definitely did not know OCA Mocha was going to be what I was doing after college. I had planned on going into the Peace Corps when I graduated originally. That was my plan. I was working on getting into a program there. But everything with OCA Mocha sort of started developing, and then once it became more of a real vision, I realized that that was more of my place at that time.
Yeah. Very cool.
So in the community, what have been your wins? You know, you have OCA Mocha, but you're trying to get outside of just, you know, the impact on the community. So what wins have you had either with OCA Mocha, like somebody coming in and you're able to provide something for them, or a win of like, oh, we talked to this business down the street and like we made them better or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of wins that I can talk about, a lot of really cool things that we've been able to be a part of. But it's some of those smaller moments that actually really jump out to me the most. And the first thing that popped in my head when you asked is I was talking to an artist who submitted to our gallery and had their work up, and we were talking about their work. And in that conversation, they told me that they never considered themselves an artist until they had gotten accepted into our exhibit. And that sticks with me to this day because they were able to identify a new part of themselves that they can now use as a creative outlet to share their messages with the world. You know, they were already doing awesome work, but until they had an opportunity to put it out there and saw that people liked it, people accepted it, you know, they really weren't identifying as an artist. So that was a big win for us right there. Beyond that, I mean, we're doing a ton of events all the time.
Yeah, what was the one you were telling me about? The 1 cup?
1 million cups?
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, so that was really exciting. We worked with the Alex Brown Center of Entrepreneurship at UMBC, and then got GABA involved as well now. And we've been designated as the Baltimore location of 1 Million Cups, which is this national organization through the Kauffman Foundation. And essentially, it brings together local entrepreneurs, business leaders, community leaders, anybody who wants to be a part of it can be a part of it. And there's 2 speakers that come up, and you get 6 minutes to talk about your organization and what's been going on and some opportunities for support that you may need. And then 20 minutes of sort of dialogue that happens after that. And so we're going to be doing it on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of every month at OCA Mocha in the community meeting room. And it's just a great place to connect, to learn about what people are trying to get started in the community and how we can start to build a network of support for each other.
Has it started already, or is it going to start soon?
Starts next week on March 15th at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.?
Yep. So it's 1 million cups because every week there's supposed to be, 1 million people drinking a cup of coffee at the same time, doing the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are most of them in coffee shops like that? Or a lot of them? Or is it just...
I don't think so.
Just a random thing that you happen to also be a coffee shop?
Yeah, so we really care about entrepreneurship. We really care about coffee.
Yeah.
And when we found out about it, we were like, well, this is a beautiful fit. Yeah, Kevin Fulmer from UMBC was the one who sort of helped suggest it and get it started. And all of them have coffee available. That's a requirement for the event, is that there's coffee at the event, but I don't think most of them are actually at coffee shops.
Which may be the 9 a.m. thing, dude. You don't want to be drinking coffee at like 7 o'clock at night.
That makes a lot more sense. So you said March 15th?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
What is, I feel like in my mind, like your business has like it's a convergence, like maybe like a bridge between like a couple different things. And what is your relationship now with UMBC?
Yeah, absolutely. So the relationship is complicated in a lot of ways. But one easy way to sort of distinguish is thinking of it through the lens of OCA and through the lens of Mocha. And so OCA stands for Opportunities for Community Alliances, and that's where we're really partnered with UMBC in order to put on all of these events, in order to get art out there in the world. We've also done street festivals on East Drive and community cookouts on UMBC's property. And so a lot of that work is done collaboratively. There's also an office actually in our space in the back where members of UMBC will work out of a couple times a week, so that if you're in the community and you don't know where to go on campus to connect and you really want to find a way to connect with UMBC in some sort of way, you can just come to the OCA office, and Marianne is usually the one who's sitting in there, and talk to Marianne.
It's like open office hours.
Yeah, in a way, exactly. So one of the big things is trying to just connect the resources of the university as well as of the community to each other and make sure that there's more collaboration happening. So we also have an internship program for UMBC students, and they help us with the event planning, with running live sound, with rotating out the gallery. And so we also try to make it more of like a workforce development program where they're getting tangible skills in creative fields that oftentimes there aren't a lot of entry-level opportunities. And so we fund that internship and help manage it as well.
So if every business has friction points, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have friction. If you didn't have any friction in your business, then you could just do whatever you want. You had all the money in the world, you had all the resources in the world. What is your vision? What is your hope and dream for OCA Mocha?
Yeah, so I think that if we could do even more than what we're doing now, one, we'd be making our own coffee already. We'd be roasting some coffee, which hopefully is coming soon. But two, we would be really out there putting on more bigger events in the community, hosting, market spaces and creating opportunities for other people who are interested in their local economy to get more involved, and really bringing in resources to Arbutus, bringing in resources to Baltimore County. And yeah, I'd say just being able to do what we're already doing, but on a bigger scale.
So on the bigger scale in our area, not so much a bigger scale around the country. Like you have a real heart for Arbutus and Halethorpe, 21227. Let's say that. Not 222. What's Catonsville? I don't even care.
Oh man, you just made some enemies.
I did.
It's all right.
I lived in Catonsville for a while, so let's say that. Yeah, so is OCA Mocha something that you want to take outside of this area one day?
One day, that's not my personal goal and my personal vision. I know that Deep, who is my partner that I work very closely with, he definitely has more of a vision for that type of expansion. And I have thought about it. I mean, I think that our model works really well, and I think it could help a lot of communities. And so if our model is able to be used to help other communities, absolutely. I just don't necessarily see myself being the person to do that.
Sure.
Fair.
Yeah. One other really cool thing that we're sort of in the very beginning grounds of thinking through is creating more equitable models of doing business and creating more opportunities for workers to have pathways to ownership as well. And so that's something that we're exploring, and that's something that is more along the lines of where I would want to take things moving forward.
So when you say workers, you mean like the people who work for OCA Mocha to have equity in the company?
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of businesses do that type of model, and it works out great. I have a good friend of mine. He's also in heating and air conditioning, and that company provided shares. Every year you work there, you got a percentage of the company. And he retired as a vice president. So
that's awesome.
Because he worked there for so long.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah. So,
are there? It just occurs to me, like, to me, this model is unique. Are there other people doing this? In any other? Like, were you taking notes from other people?
More outside of Maryland, because I feel like OCA Mocha would be something people would be excited about getting in their community, because you do a lot, man. You know, I mean, you heard of us pretty quickly, and or I don't know how this relationship started. Maybe we reached out to you. I don't know. But
I think it was a little bit of both.
It was a little bit of both.
I feel like I reached out to you, but you had already heard of us. Like, you have your finger like on the pulse of this place.
I'm in like every single community Facebook group that you can be in. I also sit on the board of GABA, and so when you guys joined, I had heard about you from there. Okay. And then just a couple of days later, I was seeing you posting about Will right down the road. And so it was just, kind of just happened all at once, and then within a few days after that, you were reaching out. I was like, this is incredible.
I did my creepy email out to you, and you're like, wait, I actually heard of this guy. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of saw it coming, because when you put out that post asking people what other businesses would you like to see, I saw people commenting OCA Mocha. I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Like, I was really happy to see that was all already happening.
Yeah, we love working with people that, it's like, the community knows you, and like we love working with people that have a reputation of integrity, and like you have that reputation out there. People talk about, OCA Mocha, talk about Mike.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and people are excited about what you're doing. So I told you, we realized before this podcast started that my wife's been going into OCA Mocha for a long time, and she's like, yeah, he's getting shaggy. His beard's getting longer, man. It's looking good.
Yeah. I'm letting it go for a little while.
Yeah. So you're known for your beard game and your coffee game.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I want to lean in a little bit more. I'll ask you, like you said that your vision isn't necessarily to take it to other places. Like that might be for somebody else, but like, what do you bring to OCA Mocha? Like, what is the magic sauce of Mike Berardi? Like, you seem pretty self-aware.
I think that the energy that I bring to the table is something that really helps. I think that just being sort of authentic and understanding of people and connecting with people and putting the people first is really what I'm able to bring to the table. Because ultimately, that's all anything is. It's just the relationships and the decisions that people are making together. And so how do we make sure...
A lot of people don't understand that, though.
Yeah.
It makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But they love it when they see it. And I think that's why you have the reputation that you do in the community.
Well, I really appreciate that. Yeah, so I think it's just about really connecting with people on a real level. Yeah. That matters the most.
Why should someone work for OCA Mocha?
Because it's a lot of fun.
Because I'm there.
I mean,
don't you want to hang out with me?
Yeah, I mean, like for people that are listening that haven't been there, it's like, you know, it's got all the things that you need in a coffee shop. Like it's got good coffee. That's number one, and then there's good food there too, and it's got a good environment.
There's
like
really good people there.
Yeah, and it's like
that's what it comes down to.
I love working from there. Like I'll go and I'll spend another, you know, pick my daughter up from school and like. We'll go over there and spend an hour or two and just work from there, because it's like everybody, you look around, there's board games, like there's people hanging out, there's a lot of people working. It's a cool place to hang out.
Yeah, I think that the connections that happen there are really cool too. We've seen little projects come out of people just meeting there, or we have somebody who reserved the room for something specific and somebody else who reserved it for a similar thing. We're like, oh, you guys should talk to each other, you know, and helping to make those connections happen. So I think that there's just a lot of movement. There's a lot of energy happening there. There's a lot of people putting themselves out there. And, I mean, the music is cool. The art's cool. Like, it's just a nice place it's a good environment to be in. So I'm honestly super blessed that I get to work there and that I get to be a part of all of that.
Sweet.
Is it the other thing that occurs to me is like, you know, I was looking at your story, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2018 or so that it started.
2019.
19 is when November. It opened.
Yeah.
So has it done what you wanted it to do when it was like when it was stuck in your brain or in the team of people's brains? Has it done?
It's done what we've wanted and more. It's just taken us a lot longer than we thought because it's been very challenging through COVID. You know, a lot of our model was based on gathering people together in a small space, and so that wasn't working for a while, so we had to switch it up in a lot of ways. But I do really think that the impact that we envisioned is starting to happen. I think that connections in the community are growing, and I do think that we're doing what we wanted to do. And, you know, we're only able to do that because of the incredible community that we're a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Are there any other businesses in the community? Like, you're wildly involved. So can you think of any businesses in the community that you would like to highlight, or you say, you know, these people get involved a lot and they help us out a lot? Or is there any kinship to what you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the businesses on East Drive are always really excited to participate in what we have going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, Sorrento's is a staple of Arbutus. It's been around forever, but whenever we want to do something, they're excited to get involved. They're ready to be involved. Cactus Silvestre right next door. Antonio's a good friend of mine. He loves helping out whenever possible. Rockshore Media is one that I feel like is a little bit less known, but they've done an incredible job of bringing more attention in the film industry to Baltimore County. And so they're right around the corner from you guys, like less than a minute from here, I think. And they have the highest tech film studio on the entire East Coast, from what I understand, if not at least just Maryland, but I think on the East Coast. And they're doing really cool things over there. They're really excited to get into the community. Good friend of mine had started that. Unfortunately, he passed away recently. And so I make it a point to always keep promoting them because they're doing incredible work. His vision is still being pushed. And
what's the company called?
A beautiful resource in Baltimore County. It's called Rockshore Media. Rockshore Studios is their sort of subset that has the studio there.
Yeah, cool.
But they do a ton of production work. You can rent out their studio. Yeah, but I could go on listing organizations that we've worked with. There's so many that are doing really good work in the area and just really good people behind them as well. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool.
Tell us a little bit about I want to make sure we go back to the loose thread. You mentioned the meeting room, and you kind of you mentioned it just a few times, but like for people that don't know OCA Mocha, like there's like a whole other half of like the square footage there that is dedicated to this room. Right. Can you talk about that just for a second? Yeah,
so the community meeting room is a space in the back of OCA Mocha, and it's outfitted with all rolling tables and chairs. It's got an 85-inch screen TV with a WebEx room kit for hybrid meetings. It's got two 8-foot dry erase boards. And then it has garage doors that you can open up to make it more of like an open or closed kind of feeling for an event. It's a multi-purpose space. It can be used for meetings or events. And I mean, we've had a wide range of things happening back there, but I think the thing that people love to hear is that it's completely free to reserve. So there's no charge for using the space. We really wanted to provide a space where people who are enthusiastic and excited about a project but might not have the funding, the resources, the office space to really focus in can come there and meet and get it done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So on our website, we have a public calendar. You can see exactly when the room is when it's reserved, and then you can put in a reservation directly through there as well.
Okay.
You said you've had baby showers there before?
Yeah, we've had baby showers there. We've had a kayak club come and do meetings. They would bring their kayak and do like demonstrations, and then they would like map out their routes on the waterways and like just completely.
It just
random.
occurs to me, like, do you ever have to say no to someone? Like, no, that's too weird. You can't do that here.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I challenge someone to to come up with an idea.
Okay.
That we just have to say no to.
In my mind, I just imagine it could go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, no, it could. We haven't had that yet, though.
Okay. I mean, kayak club and a baby shower. That's funny. That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. What would you like the community to lean into more? I mean, you know, you have all these resources. You're waving a flag saying, "Hey, come and see. You know, come check us out." What do you need from the community? Anything other than just buying some coffee?
Yeah, I mean, I think just come into the space, come into the events, showing support for the artists who are in the space. Buying coffee is cool, but there's so many ways to engage in the space. Reserve the room, you know, come up with a community project that you want to be a part of, come up with some ideas and put it out there, you know, put your vision out there. And the more that people, the more you can get people to sort of stick to that idea, the more cool things will start to happen in the area. So It's really not all about us. It's about inspiring people to continue to do the work that they truly want to be living into.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool that you have this space because there's a lot of value taking people outside of your space and talking to them. One thing I'm really big on is one-on-ones with your employees, you know, and in my organization, the managers have one-on-ones once a week, and I probably have one-on-ones once every other month, I would say. Just let the employees know that I'm at an arm's length away. Because when you build the organization, you want to make it to where your managers, and I'm not talking to you, but I'm just saying in general, your managers have full autonomy to take care of your people. They have full autonomy to hold your people accountable and do the one-on-ones and everything, but you don't want to feel so distanced as an owner that your people feel like they can't come up and talk to you.
Right.
Because there's things that they'll talk to you about that they won't talk to their manager about, and vice versa. So I'm a big fan on the one-on-ones, but typically when I do the one-on-ones, it's never in here. I'm taking them off-site. I'm saying, hey, meet me here, and we're going to talk for an hour, and then, or I'll hop in the, you know, we do heating and air conditioning, so we have, you know, the guys, they take their vans to each call, you know, so then I'll hop in the van with them and I'll do a couple calls with them or something. But there is a lot of value in having a space that you can go to and say, hey, we're just going to meet here instead of like where we normally meet and stuff like that. There's a lot of value. One thing we learned when we went to that training in Texas is having the room be big with a tall ceiling. That way it feels bigger and you have room to think. One thing that I learned from, his name is Howard. He was the old president of Starbucks.
You're looking at me like I know. I have no idea what's in your brain.
Yeah, I'll get it in 3 seconds.
You're going to bring Starbucks up while we have OCA Mocha on here?
Schultz.
Yeah. But there's two. The current owner of Starbucks is Schultz, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think this one is Bear. Anyway, it's this guy. Anyway,
Nice.
he wrote a book about the temperature of a room and the feeling of a room. And what he did with Starbucks, he was the owner in the late 90s, acting CEO then. But he was the first one to bring Starbucks to Tokyo too, and was the first one to make it a national brand.
Right.
I met him probably early last month. He was like a keynote speaker at this event I went to, and then you got to go talk to him after. But he talked about the temperature of the room, and when you close your eyes, what does the room feel like? And he said he did that in Starbucks for literally 2 or 3 weeks. And that's when Starbucks really changed from, a coffee place to a environment to be in. Now, if you close your eyes in this room, you'll see that the wall's not painted. You're going to let it go, man. You're not going to let it go. We're getting on it. But, I think there's real value in that, is having a space where the garage doors can open. It feels really big inside, and you have the space to think. You have the space to have community. You have the space, and that's your temperature. That's the feeling in your space, and that's really cool. And the more you lean into that, the more it's going to be whatever your vision is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way that you frame that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's good. What it occurred to me, like he's talking about, we're big on learning from people. So like I'm just curious if you have any
time from this guy already.
Yeah. Have you who do you look like? Who have you been looking up to for the last? It could be this year or last couple of years. Like, is there like books that you've read or people you've met with, mentors at UMBC?
Yeah, so that's one thing that I've loved about UMBC is just the amount of mentorship that happens there. Mm-hmm. So there's been several people along the way that have been just incredibly helpful as mentors. Gib Mason, Lisa Auction, Joe Vergeer, Nancy Young, all from UMBC. Jason, has also been a community member who reached out and has provided mentorship. I think that it's important, the same way that you're saying that you're always able to learn something from someone. I think that, with everyone that you talk to, there's something that can be learned, and so we're constantly learning from our own baristas. We're learning from our interns. We're learning from everyone around us, trying to see how are people perceiving this? How are people, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's really important to just always stay curious. But yeah, there's tons of people in my life who have been really influential and really supportive in a lot of ways. My parents have been huge supports through the whole process as well, and I look to them. My dad ran an electrical company for 8 years. My mom has done a lot of freelance work in the creative fields, and so, I think it's important to always stay learning.
Yeah. No, that's good. I don't think you could.
I think that's good.
I was going to say, I don't think you could be where you're at. Out of college with this idea, along with the team that you have. I know it's not just you, but there's other people here doing that at OCA Mocha. I don't think you could be there without a good, curious attitude to be learning. And everything you're talking about, bridging gaps between the community and businesses and the university that's right, down the road. You can't do that without being curious.
100%.
Right,
100%.
to learn about people.
Exactly, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why you'll be wildly successful, Mike, is because you have that great personality, you care about people, and then you said a key word a minute ago is how are people perceiving this? And that's what matters more than anything. All three of those matter more than anything, I would say, because how people perceived your product, how people perceive them purchasing a coffee or going into the space, how are people perceiving that? To have an owner that even thinks about that is really, really important because, Nate and I have our consulting business and we go in owners all the time that they don't even think about how their customer perceived a guy coming through the door, and we focus on consulting for like home services, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, automotive, whatever. But like our guys, they're always clean. You know, they put the shoe covers on when they come through the door. When they come, it's how you perceived. We have, Beltway has some of the nicest vans available, right? Because when they pull up to the door, like, oh, we hired the guys, you know? So your attitude of, we're going to figure it out, it's going to be okay, and I'm really happy, and I really care about you as an individual, and hey, how are people perceiving this experience? It's not buying a coffee. It's an experience. It's not a storefront. It's a community. You know what I mean? Exactly. I think that's what I think your superpower is, man. Wow. Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Really appreciate you saying that. Superpower is not getting words out sometimes.
Same.
I do want to say, though, it's really not about me. Like, OCA Mocha, from the very beginning, has been a group effort and has been... There's so many people who have been involved. I'm fortunate to be the person who gets to show up and tell the story and talk about what's going on and help make decisions. But it really is about the team that we have behind the counter. It's about our intern team. It's about the founding students who helped come up with the idea in the first place. It's about all of the people who have helped us get to this place, all of the businesses who have been excited to engage with us. That's the real secret sauce of OCA Mocha is just that energy that people want to be a part of and the change that's happening. And I think that it's important. It's important to really highlight that there's no one person who can push anything forward.
So if people want to stay connected with you and like what's going on with OCA Mocha, like give you a chance to plug like how to stay connected and how to learn more about you. I know if they're local, they could probably just show up at OCA Mocha and get a coffee, and there's probably better than 50% chance they'll bump into you.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, how do people stay connected with you?
Yeah, sure. So through social media at OCA Mocha UMBC, we primarily use Instagram and Facebook. If you want to connect with me personally, michael@okamocha.com is my email. But yeah, show up, come, and don't just come looking for me. Talk to the baristas, talk to the people sitting around if they look friendly and want to talk. You know, then yeah, just connect with the space, connect with the people there more generally too.
Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, and thank you for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, man.